All right, members and friends. I'm going to do a little on the fly here, okay? But I'm going to bring it back to where we started to briefly. Here's social services, an unregulated ministry, doesn't have to answer to a judge, right? Has a history of abusing its privileges, operates on a budget, ignores morality, and practices child abuse for their benefit. Let's stay focused, okay? That's the focus of what's been going on with Andre at this point. Well, here it is now, March 12th, 2013. And on December 11th, 2012, my daughter was kicked out. Okay, let's stay focused on the issues. My daughter was kicked out from her house. Okay, no food, no clothes, no money, no shelter, right? No warmth, nothing. No showers, nothing. She had nothing. She was kicked out by, see, this is why I like to have these boards done so I don't have to stand here and do this. But anyway, we're just doing this on the fly. By social workers. Okay? I'm not going to mention no names right now. Personally, I think this is a systemic problem. I don't think it's just isolated down into Surrey. But, you know, obviously we're dealing with an office here. But anyway, on December 11th of 2012, social workers kicked out my daughter. And from that point forward, my daughter, she started spiraling down. She started going down like this, okay? And she's right down here now, at the lowest that she's ever been in her whole life through her years of struggling with addiction. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, social worker calls up today, okay? Out of the blue. Here, we got a blue one. Out of the blue, social worker calls up. It says, let me help you. Let me help you. That's what they say to my daughter.
Even though they said that on December 6th.
Even though they said that on December, 6th.
Now they come back and tell her that when she's at her worst.
Now they say, okay, well, we're going to send you and baby. Baby's been in foster care for almost 3 months. Remember, we got court on March 21st. On Saturday, they came in with their, you know, their server, and they served my daughter with papers to have her agree for them to be the for them to be the director of Andre. They want temporary custody order. That's what they want, and they've already listed down their conditions. So they want this done, and they wanted her to sign a waiver, but she never did that. So where's the waiver? There's a waiver here. Oh. Anyway, here's the waiver. She never signed the waiver. Right? There's the waiver for that. And I've got all this stuff written down. I'm going to fax this off to her lawyer, right? You can see, right, about my issues that, you know, at some point I'll do one of these things. So anyway, on March 12th, okay? 4 months later. 4 months. 4 months later, they phone up and they say, let me help you. Okay? And they say, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to let you and baby, we're going to take baby out of foster care, and we're going to let you go to that program that we talked about on December 6th, and you can stay there for 3 months, get better, and then after that, continue working on the plan, and we'll either move you into some women's center where you don't fit in anymore because the baby's too old, so that you can try and live there on your own for a while. And then if that works out really good, well, then we'll see what happens after that. But in the meantime, you know, my daughter, we know what's happening with my daughter. And for these people to sit up there and, you know, and say that they don't know what's going on.
Oh, John.
Yeah, John, please, I'm talking.
Stop right now.
Okay? No cat food. Wait. Thank you. So, anyway, you know, they know, they're social services. They have rats all over the place collecting information and volunteering their time to get this dirty good on you. They do. That's right. So, you know, for them to say they don't know what she's going through or what she's been doing is highly unlikely. But they're acting like they don't know. And they're saying, well, here, let me help you. We'll put you in a program. Right? So we're going to put you in a program. Put you into program.
But you see...
And we're going to give you back your son.
But you see, on December 6th, when she was ready to go into that program, and she was waiting, and she was
healthy,
and she was
had a full head of hair.
more capable being able to follow through on that program. They didn't follow through on what they said, but now they needed to kick her out because they knew what would happen, and they needed to give her some time to fall to rock bottom where she's been worse,
where she is right
where
now,
she's at the worst
like
with her
this.
addiction, her street life, her abusive boyfriend, and
this is the way
you know,
she is.
making everyone to believe now that she may not be able to get out of her addiction. That's
right.
when they
Because
want to
they don't
help.
live with her,
That's when they want to help. But on top of that, they want to throw baby in there with her to tease her. On one hand,
because
saying
they're protecting her
they're
protecting him from the drugs.
But
she asked him today. Hold on. I said, look, when you go in there, because the woman phoned out of the blue. Happened to be I was talking to her lawyer's receptionist. An hour later, the social worker said, oh, well, come on and see me. And because they know that she's been stabling somewhat out at home, they took a chance. So I drove her to the appointment. I sat out and waited because, of course, they didn't want to talk to me. And then finally, by the time I got my daughter in the car, I said, okay, so what happened? Like, she says, oh, well, I said, what happened with what is this protection thing that they keep, making reference to in terms of they're protecting him from what? She said, oh, my drugs. I said, oh.
But that doesn't make sense because they kicked her out. She never came around the house. She left because she wanted Andre to be here.
I know. I'm saying that they've got him in foster care because they're saying her drug use.
Drug use.
Yeah. When she was December 6th, there was no drug use. She was waiting to go. She agreed that she had done drugs at some point in October
and
or
then
August
after
or whatever.
they kicked her
and
out,
it was a one-time
and then
event.
after they kicked her out, from there on, they kept saying that they were gonna put her in a program, and they never did. They never did. They waited for her to get to a certain length where she would not be able to come out of her addiction, where she's been the worst at, in all the years she's done drugs. And now, all of a sudden, they decide to put her in a program with Andre where they know she's incapable of having Andre with her. But at the same time, as you said, Mom, they're teasing her. They're teasing her because they're allowing Andre to be there with her. But at the same time, she can't. She's not able to have Andre with her.
They want her to fail because what will happen
because
is
they know
once
she's
she gets to the program and they realize how sick she really is, they'll just take Andre away and say, well, you stay here and work for yourself. And when you get better, maybe we'll try it again. And then chances are she won't succeed at the program because she'll blow a fuse, get kicked out, and she'll just be one of those statistics, 40% that didn't make it. In the meantime, they've securely now nestled Andre back into foster care because when we were standing there and everybody came out, now there was one social worker there that at the beginning, back in 2010 when we started doing these plans, there was one in particular that was, one of the initial ones, right? And she ended up developing cancer, so she had to go and have, cancer treatment. And so anyway, she happened to be there. And when she came, she didn't look like herself. She didn't look like the lady that I had met initially before she had her cancer treatment. But she was a survivor. And, initially back in those days, I'm sure everybody started off with the right foot, wanting, wanting what we accomplished in a period of 28 months. Okay? And so I somewhat connected with her. For the fact that, she went through a lot with her chemotherapy and, and she's a survivor, so I can respect that. So I gave her a hug and everything else. Everybody was kind of whatever. And then the social worker comes out, the one that's practicing her, practicum here on my family. And, I took the time to ask her, I said, well, so what's the problem? What's the problem? Why can't Andre come home? Oh, well, I said, is what? Is it me? And, she hummed and hawed, and I challenged her a bit more, and I said, no, I need to know. Like, if Sierra goes to this program, because she kind of gave me a little gift of
But of course she's not going to give you any actual, legitimate, justifiable reasons.
Yeah, she just basically said that there's no communication between us.
Because you totally know you remove a child out of a house because there's not communication between a nana and a social worker.
Well, she's making it very personal. She doesn't like me.
But that's not right, because you don't remove children out of a house for that reason. That's not under Child Protection Services.
Because when she said, we don't get along, you're not helping, you're not working with me, I said, how can you say that? He was enrolled in daycare. In the meantime,
you didn't get a lawyer. You kicked out Sierra.
No, I said he was enrolled in daycare. I had teenagers registering to start volunteering.
Yes.
How can you say that's not working with you?
Never mind everything else that you've done.
It's just, it's a done deal kind of, and she started to turn. In the meantime, the other people that are standing there, the lady that had the chemo and, Sierra, and there was somebody else, I think, standing there, we don't want to talk about it in the office like this, it's a private matter, and, to save her ass, right? Because I'm like, no, you need to tell me why my grandson can't come home where he belongs. You're telling me that because they want me to go to some mediation meeting, the one I canceled with the woman that came back with that funky little plan that we're going to go and meet with her again so that my kids can put their order in. And that's another thing. Here's the same order that they've already been through. Okay, here's the schedule.
But this time they've made it hard for Sierra. Way harder for Sierra.
Here's the schedule. Visits will be every Wednesday at Options which is on like 20-minute drive away from here.
And this one's for Sierra.
This is all the way out on 76 somewhere, from 10 o'clock in the morning until 12, starting tomorrow. And if you miss more than 2 visits at Options, they will be canceled. Call Options by 9:30. So we need to wake up Sierra tomorrow morning at 9 so she can call at 9:30. And then I got to get up in the car at 20 to 10 and drive her for her visit. Because she won't make it on her own.
Completely incapable.
And even if she could do it one time, I doubt she could do it every
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
She barely could make her last appointments.
Okay? And then for Shimei and Tisha, they got them back at the same office with the same scowly women. Okay? From 12 o'clock until 2, and they must be there by 11:40. They have to be there by 20 minutes to 11 before they'll call the caregiver to bring Andre. And this is why I didn't want the meeting, because I don't want to make that kind of arrangement for my children. The only arrangement that I want is to have my grandson come home. But my children are old enough.
The only reason you don't, and personally I agree with this, I don't want to be doing...
You don't want to repeat the process.
Exactly, because last time they were playing games with us, canceling appointments, rearranging appointments, can't do this, can't do that because of the social worker, or, the foster mom, and to the point where we didn't even know anymore. And the fact that they barely answered our calls left us even more disbelief and not unknowingness. But you know what? We have to, because it's for Andre. It's for Andre.
And the kids are old enough that they can make that decision for themselves. Well, Grandma, am up in this corner. This is Grandma fighting the fight of her life. And I'm fighting for the life of my grandson. Because if you notice these encyclopedias, I've started to pull them out. I've got some more up there. I may climb up. There's a dictionary and an encyclopedia up there. And then I've got a big thick one like this in my room from 1957. So I got to pull that one out. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, 6.
Careful, Mom.
7. And a dictionary, 8. And then one more in my room. So that makes 9. I have 9 dictionaries and encyclopedias to go through, and I'm going to go and look up words. Plus, I got lucky here. I found this. Somebody said I should get the Black Book of Law. I don't know where you'd find that, but soon after that, I found this book. Really, the next day. And it's a dictionary of word origins. So I thought this might come in handy when I start looking up the word family, abuse, psychological abuse, physical, whatever, however the words branch off, because that's what happens. They branch off into other things, right? And then I'll do a cross-reference as to see where they came from so that maybe we can figure out why it's so corrupt. Because what's going on right now is still very corrupt, because they're taking my vulnerable daughter that's way down here and who they kicked out on December 11th. Oh, yeah, so let me finish. So I'm like, well, what, you defaming me? What, you're not giving me back my grandson because you don't like me. Because you don't like the way I communicate to you. That's the best that you can say. But yet, your team of co-workers are all saying, oh, keep it private. Don't worry, we'll protect you. We'll give you an avenue to run out and disappear so that you don't have to explain yourself a little more. And I just said to her, you go ahead. You can try and defame me. That's fine. Because I'm not going to let you get away with it. And apparently she had some tears coming down her face
crocodile
when she was
tears.
running away.
No, that's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They manipulate, their clients
They made sure my daughter seen that Sierra, so that Sierra will feel sorry for her because, bad
and because
grandma.
Sierra does feel sorry for people.
Well, maybe she does.
She does. She's like me.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, the difference is, I know the charades of these people on Sierra is the volatile, gullible one.
Nobody is feeling sorry for Sierra. Okay? Because if they were feeling sorry for Sierra, they wouldn't have left her alone with their let me help you for 4 months. Okay? She's died like 5 times in the last 4 months. She's been poisoned 3. She's been kidnapped once. And she was almost sold off. And she's very sick, and they know it. And they're using that against her with her son by saying, we'll give him to you in this program, just so that they don't have to agree to bring him here, so that if she doesn't follow through for whatever reason, he can stay here. Because if she doesn't follow through, they can simply take him and take him back to where he came from. And they won't bring him here, because we've got this one social worker, right? One social worker, well here, one social worker, and we'll say 10 friends in the office. And those are office friends. Okay? That all say they don't like me. And therefore my grandson should be the price to pay for that.
And that's wrong.
They can't
because
say,
that's not even a reason to take a child out of a freaking home.
well,
at all.
Well, it's not, and that's why it needs to go to court.
No, I researched it. That's not even under child protection mandate.
And that's why they're trying to cover their butts like this.
It's neglect or abuse or any maltreatment of any form. And as if communication between a social worker and a nana falls under that. Like, come on.
In terms of abuse, child abuse, well, here's another book. Child Abuse Towards a Knowledge Base. Mm-hmm. And what they've done is they've confined a child in a small place. Okay? This is all forms of child abuse, which they have perpetrated on my grandson. Confining a child in a small place. They've removed him from his family, stuffed him into a room by himself.
Public humiliation on.
Well, I know that. Just hold on. We'll get into that first. Okay, let's finish and explain this one. They put him in a room all by himself with total strangers, carting him around with stranger after stranger, and they separated him from his family members that gave him confidence, support, love, nurturing, affection, confidence, self-esteem. You know, we put a lot of time into Andre, like I said before, and he was pretty well-rounded. But since being removed, he's been in his own room, isolated, sheltered. You know, he's fearful, he's scared, right? And
doesn't have his family with him.
Doesn't have his family. They're drugging him. And so anyway, and then severe public humiliation. Well, they've done that by removing him from his family and put him in the care of a bunch of strangers that cart him around. Leaving him to defend for himself against total strangers that try and act like they're his friend, when in fact, you know, it's just another extension of a paycheck, right? Let's be honest about it. And, you know, everybody knows he's a foster kid, but nobody talks about it because we're trying to be private about his affairs. And then you have to remember the public humiliation that this has put on his family in terms of Mama Lynn out in the park doing things with the kids, or maybe a park event with my kids. And, you know, my kids have to run around saying, oh yeah, social services still has Andre, which makes us look like what in the public's eye? Well, they can't be very nice people if they can't have their own grandson. So this is what I mean by defaming me. They are defaming me, and they are publicly humiliating my grandson by carting him around a bunch of strangers that want to whisper rumors, on top of publicly humiliating my teenagers, because they know exactly, you know, what it is that I do and how I do it in the community, because they have all the resources, they have all the spies, they have all the rats, they have all the investigators, they have all the bugs, they have all the cameras, they have all the computers, they have all the money, so there's no excuse for them not to know what's going on.
Not moving so much.
Okay. And then the Cinderella syndrome, which we noticed right from the very beginning, when he was daddy, 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 daddy. He was competing with daddy with that little girl, losing his language as he was forgetting his family because he was so under stress. So they got him now competing with the little blonde girl. And I addressed that from almost day one. Severe verbal abuse. Well, maybe they're not severely verbally abusing him, but they're definitely not giving him good messaging. You know?
I can't wait for you to explain number 5.
Encouraging or coercing a child into delinquency. Well, here we go. He's got behavioral problems, so that allowed them...
Statistically, the foster kids are the ones that are most vulnerable to that one.
Well, number 5, because now they have an excuse to medicate him and have him tested. because he's been labeled as having behavioral problems, and he's just having, he's acting out.
In fact, it's just his way of saying that he wants to come home. He doesn't know how else to act.
Exactly.
That's what babies do when they're in distress.
That's right. And that's why another reason I'm concerned about my children visiting, because they're just encouraging and coercing him to continue to act delinquency at the request of social services, because it's social services who refuse to let him come home. So therefore, they are the perpetrators of this form of child abuse, because he never acted like that when he was at home. He was polite, he was helpful, he was learning, and he was eager to please in terms of falling into a routine with his wheels on the bus, or washing his hands, or putting things away in the garbage, or going to sleep, reading his books. And they've taken that all away from him, and now all I'm hearing is he has behavioral problems. And anytime my children see him,
acting out,
and he's acting out, and appointments are being canceled because of that, and whatnot. Threatening a child. Well, they're threatening him with his love and his nurturing and his family right to belong with his family. They have threatened him with that. They removed him from what's his base.
They're desensitizing him from many things in life.
Yeah.
Education, organization, family love, social life.
Well, no,
friends.
they have put daycare as a
threatening a child.
substitute. They have used the daycare as a substitute for that list, and that's why.
But the daycare is only isolating him.
Well, of course, it's only isolating him, and it puts him here. Here's the daycare. It puts him into a more case of isolation, confusion, because of all the different activities going on, different personalities, and a hyperactivity of a large number of small children that come in with their different problems. Loneliness, because all the other parents are picking up their kids and aunties and uncles, but not Andre. He's got a caregiver over here. They're a happy little family, right? She gets to pick up, but she also's got her little baby that puts him in that Cinderella situation where he has to compete. I've already addressed that. Andre did not have to compete with anybody in his family. He was number one. All his needs were being met. Okay? So what else we got here? Refusal of psychiatric treatment. Well, in this case, it's not that they're refusing it. They want it. They want to be able to be in a position where they can forward more public money into that sector so a psychiatrist can do their little experiments on my grandson, whether it's with his psychotropic drugs or, play manipulatives or whatever it is. He's just a test subject. So this is something that they want, which is another form of child abuse, because living with us, we would not even fathom. Why would you fathom taking a child to go see a psychiatrist
on this very piano he plays? This is his keyboard
at age 29, 30 months old, because he wants to come home, and these people that are holding him captive under their privilege to abuse power by simply saying, well, we don't like you, Nana. We don't like the way you talk. You got a bad attitude, Nana. So therefore, we're not going to let you have grandson, and we're going to run your name through the mud, Nana. So that all the little kids that like you and like to do things with you out in the community, when you are out in the community, will learn to not like you, just like your grandson. Because ultimately, there's something wrong with you, Nana, and not with us. And that's the messaging that I got today. And that's the messaging that's been going on since the day they kicked out my daughter. They just can't come out and spit it out. Not allowing social and emotional growth. Well, they've taken all this away from Andre. They have taken this all. I spelled this word wrong.
What about Sensi, his little best friend? Sensi's missing him to pieces right now.
Right here. They removed him from Andre's friends. It's right there. I added it there, but it got wiped out.
Specifically Sensi. Sensi and him are very close.
There's his friends. And then this one's acceptance. It's ACCEPTANCE. Okay?
There is no acceptance, because to them, Andre's the odd one. Andre's the very odd one.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they removed him.
Yes, I know.
Not allowing social and emotional growth. They are not allowing him to socially and emotionally grow with his family. They removed him from all these
anyone else
positive
that
things.
He knows with this family. With
That's
his
right.
close friends,
and they
with
put him
family
in,
friends, with
and
friends.
here again, he's still at a higher chance to be sexually abused with all this stranger danger that these people continue to manhandle him time after time, day after day. We still think he's hungry. We still think he's cold. We know he's isolated. He represents a paycheck. We know that too, right? Science study. Well, they already want him to be on psychiatric drugs, and they're already saying that he's got behavioral problems. So what they're telling my daughter is a bunch of bullshit over here. A bunch of fucking bullshit. Okay? falling into deep psychological depression. Well, again, it only benefits them because that's what number 7 is their mission in life right now. That's why they don't want him to come home. They don't want him to come home and be happy and be productive. And they don't want my kids to be happy and productive. Instead, they want to put him back on the same hamster wheel. They just want to put him back on the same hamster wheel, play the same games so that they can go back to court in 2-3 months from now and say the whole family's crazy. We can't deal with any of them, but we're going to keep the baby because we've had him this long, so he belongs to us now. What else is there? Not providing a loving, nurturing atmosphere.
Yep.
Well, they have definitely failed to do that because, again, the scowling, the high tension in the office, the fact that he even has to be transported around to go be his family.
There's nothing nurturing about being with strangers, people that know nothing about him when he wants to be at home. There's nothing nurturing and loving and,
Nurturing atmosphere.
About being technically in a daycare 3/4 of his day while he's carted around in a tinted van in the dark in freaking jean jackets in January or February.
Coming in starving.
Exactly.
When
He's not being provided what he needs because these people know nothing about him. They're just giving him what he needs, but not actually like looking at him, knowing what we know, providing him the safe, for example, his skin needs to be treated in a special way because it's very sensitive on our family, but the fact that he's a baby, it's very, very, very sensitive. He can get dry skin a lot and he gets grainy if it's not treated properly. And honestly, on the first visit, that's what I found out.
Then they made a little effort, again, I'm wondering who's talking to who here, Again, they're all interconnected, right? So magically, out of nowhere, came a photocopy of Andre's assessment with his infection that is supposed to confirm that what the doctor diagnosed is true.
Huh.
But I note here, and of course Sierra can't read, so it wouldn't matter to whether Sierra got the information or not, because she can't read anyway. So, why they're giving somebody paperwork that she can't read. No, I don't want this one because there's names on here, right?
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we're trying to avoid using people's names, although my name is being splashed all over in the mud pit here, right? It's like a mud bath for me, I'm a bad nana. And, it's just some mild discomfort, which I'm sure his mother would disagree because she said it was very painful for him.
Yeah, and the fact that he's never had that with us and he should be getting it now.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah, totally.
They said on here that early symptoms were symptomatic since early February, and this was diagnosed on February 22nd because I reported it on February 21st. And if they're putting it on the 21st or early February, what did my grandson suffer for 15 days? Is that what they're saying? And it just got progressively worse and more worse until everything was beet red, glowing in the dark. And not just one area, but everything. Like, that is a big problem when you think about it. Why did it take 2 weeks to get medical attention?
Why does he have it in the first place?
Why did he get it in the first place? And are we even really sure that's what it is?
Probably not.
Well, this came in from some dental clinic. So I don't know what kind of dentist does that. If you know what I mean. Right? And then there's some other different doctor there. So what, are they coming in behind closed doors, going through the root cellar and through the maze in the poppy field and then coming out through the rabbit hutch and whisk him in to see the dentist while they're checking out that over there and then faxing it in to say everything's okay? Like, if you're going to see a doctor, why doesn't it just say, why does it say dental clinic? And then addressed to a different doctor here? And why did he go 2 weeks with symptoms that progressively got worse where nobody noticed, even though he's being manhandled by all these people?
Oh my God, okay. As if that woman, the foster care provider couldn't notice that he had a penis infection. It took you to report it for him to actually go to
took his mom to see it.
Yeah, and it took you to report it so we could actually go to the doctor. So technically, they never even freaking took him to the doctor.
Well, they did because the police got involved. But the police didn't...
After you called them.
I know that.
But beforehand,
But
they
this
didn't.
is supposed to make us feel better because it's been addressed. Well, again, let me help you. Okay? Let us sign you up before court. Court's on March 21st. Today is March 12th. So in 10 days, we're going to take you to the methadone, magically get you there, I'll pick you up, social worker kicks you out 1 month, 4 months later, she just shows up at my door, picks up my daughter, takes her there, puts her in a program with the baby. I can almost guarantee you within less than a week, maybe at best a month, they'll be taking him away, putting him, if not sooner, back into foster care.
They're trying to make it look like they're trying to make it look like they've done something with Sierra before they go to court. That's what they're trying to do here.
Exactly. And my daughter's very vulnerable. She's heartbroken. She's confused. We know she's sick. We know that.
Mentally ill. And she's been mentally ill for a long time.
She needs to detox. She needs to detox first. I told her this. You need to detox out and then work on healing. You know? She can't be going like this and then go touch the baby. Right? And once she gets there, you think this is going to stop? She needs help with that. If they really want to help her, they'll help her with that. And they'll put the baby here where he belongs. That would be helping Sierra because then her mind can relax and she can focus on Sierra and work on Sierra while she knows that her baby is being loved and well looked after. Because that's what we have always provided to Andre
from day
as
one,
a family.
Before he was even pregnant.
I was driving Sierra to doctor's appointments and encouraging her to stop drugs and chasing her down and bringing her here and taking her out and shopping and, and giving her money so that she could buy things to come home and start nesting. And I did all those things for Sierra, with Sierra, so that her baby would be healthier.
And he turned out perfect.
Well, that's because you guys stimulated him with
but I just find it so ironic because honestly, with Sierra, like Marquin, we thought he was going to be a deficient child.
Also, too, because you guys stimulated him.
Yes, and to be perfectly honest, Andre, he was developing at a faster rate than what most children do for his age.
Because he was getting stimulated.
But of course, that was taken away from him, though.
Positive interaction with his family. When you give children love and lots of it, they respond. And normally, unless it's something really physically wrong with them, if there's something really physically wrong, or it's a physiological thing, it's in the body itself, right? Like a crooked eye or something. You can't change that. But there's studies where if you push children off to the side, play all these little head games with them, isolate them, emotionally and psychologically abuse them and all this, they're not as well-rounded.
They're slow.
And they develop slowly and because their brain cells are dying. Andre was constantly music and sounds and animals and singing and books and
instruments, gardening.
You took him swimming.
Friend's house.
How many times?
Play dates. Lots of play dates.
How many times did you guys used to go to the park and let him play in the park?
All the time. Sierra and me would go. Tisha, me and Sierra would go. Tisha and Sierra would go.
I know.
Even with Sadie and the dog, when we had Sadie and everything.
He had access to a lot of different types of toys that he was allowed to play with when he wanted to play with them. It wasn't, this is all you get to play with today. His toys were there and he was allowed to scatter them around if that's, to have that playtime. And plus a lot of language in the house. Because they're a large family.
Very verbal family.
But of course, social services, they don't want to acknowledge that. And they want to forget this, that they kicked out my daughter. And now all of a sudden, 10 days before the 21st, as they're filing an application to become a director, telling the grandma to basically fuck off for the rest of my fucking life because I'm just a piece of shit that's got a bad attitude. And they're going to teach the community and educate them how sucky I really am by using my grandson as hostage.
And that if you don't communicate with the social worker, they're just going to take the child away.
Well, they already did. And
exactly, that's what they're perpetrating society. If you don't communicate with the social worker, if the social worker feels like, you can't talk with her, they're going to take the child away regardless whether, regardless if there's abuse or not.
So that's the new game. That's the new game. That's how they justify their actions, which boils down to abuse of power, which gives them the right to practice child abuse against my grandson and any other child that they do this under these kind of circumstances for their benefit. And so over the next month, because I got a lot of stuff I have to do, right? I still got to do nonprofit books, and I got to clean the house, and I got to drive everybody around 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes it's every day, and on top of other stuff I do in a day, and fight to get my grandson back. But I will be going through these books, pulling out words one at a time, and it will be pre-written out so it can go a little faster. But in the meantime, that's what's up. So I don't know what to say. Is the only person I had any sympathy for today was that one woman that survived chemotherapy, really, because that's really hard on the body.
It is.
When she went in, she was healthy, well, to the best of her ability in terms of normal weight and, being who she is. And then to go in and have your immune systems wiped out like that to where you come back half a person to what you were, but still be a survivor, I can respect that. And, I let my guard down for that, but my guard is back up because I was reminded by a 26-year-old as all her flocking peers are standing behind
Vultures.
her. Yeah, saying,
Frickin'
you
vultures.
go girl, you put that little bitch in place, reminding me that I am not getting back my grandson because it's my fault.
You know what I had a dream about? I had a dream about the social workers were a vulture, and this was at Freddy's house, and I woke up screaming, and he got so scared. I had a dream that the social workers were vultures, and they picked up Andre with their claws, and they dropped him,
Yep,
and he died.
And you know what? And I have a webpage, Children at Risk in Memory of Precious Doe. This is what they've done to my grandson. They have put him at risk, and he is at a higher probability to die. And if he's not dying physically, he is most definitely dying emotionally and in other aspects of his emotional and intellectual growth.
And we know this because that's what this firm does. Is it a firm, organization, agency, whatever these people are, that's what it does. And when you physically see it with your own eyes, and I'm speaking on my own behalf, when I see Andre, Tisha sees it, Sierra sees it, it's very heart-wrenching. It's very heart-wrenching because not only do you know it, but you see it. And and every time you see him, it's just something new or it's something worse.
Yeah. So your dream could be, something very serious. I wouldn't take it lightly.
It scared the crap out of me.
And that's why more reason for him to come home, because my children don't deserve dreams like that. They don't. They deserve to be thinking about this stuff and building onto a productive life right along with their nephew. And if mom can somehow work her way back up, with or without the help of these people, then that would be fine. She'll get back her son. But if we do it this way, right now, the way they want to do it...
We're not going to get him back, and we're not going to get Sierra back either if it's done that way.
No, because she'll fail the program.
She needs to be doing this on her own.
Detox right now.
But she needs to be going to that program by herself because she won't be able to handle it with Andre.
And he needs to come home. And if they want to have my daughter...
And they're using, and they know that. That's the thing, and they know that.
That's the thing. Once they realize that she's picking and she's got other issues that she needs to deal with...
As if they don't know.
They do know.
They watch your videos. They watch your videos.
And they also
they
have
watch the
people
videos.
out in the community that spy.
As if they don't know that she doesn't do that when Christina talks to her.
Well, they made note that half her hair was gone. They noticed that her hair, something had happened to her hair.
Yeah, well, they already knew that, Mom, because they creep your videos.
Yes, and they also have spies in the community.
Exactly.
But we got to, now this is going on how many minutes?
Almost 40.
Okay, got it. Peace out.